Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Tuem and today I'm going to talk with Julie from the music band Gone in April. Now I'm waiting for her to join the chat so that we can start our conversation together. Let me check who is in the room. Hey everyone, thanks for joining us. I'm very excited about this one because this music band is very unique and we will explain why, and I'm waiting for Julie now. In any minute she will join us so we can start our conversation together. Yes, there she is. I'm sending the request now. Hey Julie.
Hi, good morning. Well, afternoon for you, I guess.
Yes, that's true. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Well, it's morning here, so
I'm
necessary cup of coffee.
Oh, that's good. So Julie, I have series of questions ready for you, but before going through them, would you please briefly introduce yourself to the viewers?
Okay. I am the singer and violinist of the band Gone in April. I am also an orchestra musician and opera singer. So, yeah, that's it. And originally from Canada, I presently live in the US. But yeah, so originally from Montreal, around Montreal in Quebec.
I see. And based on your name, well, can we say? Like you are from Europe originally, from
So
Netherlands, maybe.
it's a French name, since I'm from the French part of Canada.
Oh,
So
I
that's
see.
yeah. So it's pronounced Belanger Roy, the last name. So
Oh, I see. So how is it correct to pronounce your first name?
I mean that's a good one. I mean it can be both ways. It's Julie or Julie in French we would say Julie, but most people here say Julie, which is fine too. That's the English version. So
So
anyway,
you're fine with both of them.
yeah, Julia, Julia, whatever, you know. As long as it's kind of similar, I'm good.
And when was it when your music band was formed?
So we started kind of in the 2009, but nothing really happened before 2011 in terms of action with the band. So, and it was kind of slow at that moment because I was still this full-time student. So it was kind of hard to get things going very quickly. So it got, for a few years it was slow until it became a little bit more a priority. So.
I see. And notice that your band members are from different locations in the world. One from Europe, maybe one from US, one from Canada. How that happened? How do you manage to have tours like this?
So that's the thing. You said it. You said tours. When it's just a few shows, like one or two shows, it's very hard for us unless it's a festival or something like this, because we do have to get flights for everybody. But otherwise, yes, we fly everybody and then we are gone for about a month, and then it's absolutely worth it. When you have many shows like this, then it offsets the cost of the flights. But yes, when it's a one-off show, often we have to say no if it's just like one show in one city, just because it would be really expensive to fly everybody. So
Yeah, that's true. And for the genre of your music band, I was interested. Like it was for me like combination of melodic death metal, like Chiller of Bottom, at the same time folk metal, like Nightwish. Is that true? Like I see some kind sort of combination of such genres.
definitely, yeah. And you will laugh. Our second album, when it came out, it was so sporadic, so different genres in it, threads of existence. So in the reviews, people were actually saying, "Hey, you have to pick something," you know. And
Yeah.
our answer to this was, "No, we don't have to." And two, well, the thing we can maybe do is blend it even better. But we all like to add our little person, like what we each like. Every member has different tastes, so we kind of blend all that that we like and that we are in terms of musicians, and that's how it comes. So yes, definitely there's a lot of influences of folk, ancient music as well. Like I'm into medieval music a lot, so you can definitely hear this in some of the melodies. And because I play classical, you can hear the classical influence, which is a little bit more like the symphonic metal. And yes, the death metal part, melodic death metal, is more like Yannick, a drummer, and also a guitarist, plays a lot of it. So Marc-André brings that too as well. So
Yes. And one of our viewers, Yana, said you look like a singer of Nightwish
oh
also. Is that
well,
you?
thank you.
You get that a lot because you look like
I
Floyd
think
Johnson.
because we're both muscular, like tall and muscular, I think. I don't
How
know
tall
actually.
are you, by the way? What's your height?
Oh, I'm nowhere as tall as she is. But I'm 5'7".
Okay.
5'7". It's
And
what, 140 centimeters, I think. I might be a little
uh,
off, but
yeah, but also, let me check. Sorry, I received some questions here. Guys, please send your questions using that question mark down below. And as you know, I usually turn off commenting so that I can select ones. And by the way, I noticed that you have both power, and you also claim that on your official page that you have a power and combination of that with melody. Is that true? Like um, you have such sort of combination, which is interesting.
so it's kind of funny because when we were starting, you always need to brand yourself as a band or anything you do really for people to know exactly what they're going to listen to, right? So for us, when we started, we said, what is the difference between what do we bring new basically to the table? And I think because it's very, very aggressive in certain songs, you really have that melodic death metal influence that's very aggressive, but at the same time, we also bring the very melodic and very sustained, long melodies that you find in symphonic metal. So that's why we say like a blend of power and melody, because you have like both that very aggressive, those riffs that are really, you know, that really that sounds very aggressive, and then you have those more lyrical lines.
I see. It's very interesting how you guys manage that, and the results really show that this is something unique and very interesting. And recently, I noticed you were looking for a new growler in your music band. And what happened to Aaron? Why you didn't collaborate with him anymore?
So that's the thing. It was really hard for us because we love Aaron, and we've lived, really when the band started and everything. When we started being more known, it was with Aaron, and we were touring so much, not so much, but we were touring with them, and I think it really creates those links, and it makes it family. So it's really hard to let go of a member. So for Aaron, some of his priorities are really family and friends. And he's a homebody, like he says. He really loves to be home and surrounded with the people he loves. So for him, when we were gone a little bit more than a week or two, it started being a lot. So as much as he loves performing, he just felt like he was far away, for a little too long. So that's really hard when you're touring. So because as I said, we fly from different places, and then we want to do tours that are more than 2 weeks to really make it worth it. So for him, it was really hard. So at that point, we had to replace him very often when we were going on tour. And for a band, I think everybody agrees that it's good if we can keep as many of the people, that are in the band on the stage as well. So that's why we had to look for a growler.
Okay, and how do you feel about the new one in your band? So, is it working for you now?
So we just came back from filming music videos for the next album, and we also had a few shows in Canada, and it was a lot for him. We actually sent him all the songs because we were headlining that set, so it's not just 30 minutes, it's like an hour 15 minutes of music, and it's like boom, learn this. And he managed to do really, really well. He worked so hard to make sure he learned everything. And and we met with him once before, So he sent us his audition things like everybody. So when he was selected, then we decided to meet together. He came to our place, and already the connection was good, but you never know, right? Until you really work together. And that's what was really, really, really cool, is that it just blended so well. It was like we've known each other for a while, you know, we just had so much fun. He is super professional, works really, really, really hard, as I was saying, learned everything. Also, it's hard sometimes to know just from looking at videos, but his stage presence was exactly what we were looking for as well. So we had only good surprises. We are extremely satisfied. Of course, we love his voice. That's why we picked him, but everything else was really, really good. And I don't know, maybe in the chat, there's people who were there at the shows in Quebec and Ontario. So maybe somebody can tell what they think. But for us, we were really happy.
Yeah, I'm really happy that you guys could manage that, and he was very good under such a pressure.
Yes.
Because every time, especially for the new guy, always is such a big pressure, like how to manage it and how to just fulfill the expectations of the, you know, the fans of your music band. So that would be very hard.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely right. So.
And as I understood, having a growler is very important in your music band. It's not possible to have a sound without it, right?
You said without a girl?
Yes.
Okay. I guess it would be hard to sing if I was to leave the band and somebody else would take the spot. You know, I think we would be different in terms of sound because I compose a lot of the things. I don't think there's this, yeah, there's a lot of my composition. So the way we start every song is I send melodies to the guys, and I'm like, I actually make the song. I sing some parts. Of course, there's no words at the beginning, so it's a lot of la la las. But I will sing everything, and then I will also play some violin and some parts. So it's already like the puzzle is already made, and those are already filled with melodies. So they just have to add their own parts and suggest maybe we add a bridge here. We had this. So of course we'll move a little bit, but a lot of the song is made by me. So I think, of course, if you were going to change me for somebody else, it could work, but it would be different. And if it was a man that was singing, a lot of what I sing is actually really low when I'm not in opera voice. So that could be a guy with a high voice. I just don't know how they would manage the opera part, you know, if they were to sing the old songs. So I don't say never. I think it would be possible, but it would be tricky. I don't think we identify necessarily as we absolutely need a girl in that band. I think for us, we always go with ability and passion, you know. So anybody who would love to do that job and put the same effort and be qualified, I think would be the kind of pre-requirements, not necessarily gender, right? So when we were auditioning for a growler, we had both women and men, and for us, the gender was not important. What it was, as I said, stage presence and ability and all these things. So I wouldn't say like it's so important to have a woman. I think it's neat because it represents more of the women in the industry, and we're not a ton. But I don't think for us the pre-requirements is a woman.
Yes. Tabash Davila says, I want to thank Dr. Tuan for this great opportunity to meet this lovely and amazing artist, Julie. It's for me the greatest artist I ever had. A pleasure to listen to and appreciate her art. Thank you guys for sharing your comments with us. You guys can use that question mark down below to give your comments and ask your question from Julie as well.
Well, thank you so much for the really, really sweet comment. I really appreciate it.
So about your live shows, I know that you have so many experiences in your tours, and recently you were even in South Korea. You had concert there, right?
No, actually, I was a bridesmaid in South Korea.
Yeah.
So my friend was getting married, and so that's the reason that I was in South Korea. Although I absolutely loved it, and if we get to play there, it would be amazing. Um, so yeah, I mean, playing in Asia would be amazing. Again, it would be um, looking for how much of the flights might be expensive, so that's more what we would look into. But if the opportunity arises, definitely we're up for it. But no, it was personal travel.
Yeah, Taro here says, please come to Tokyo. It would be nice.
Oh, that would be amazing.
Yeah. And you were in a festival, very big one, like 60,000 people, where also Children of Bottom was performing there. How was your experience there?
Oh my goodness. So that was in 2012. So it's been a while. I will say the experience was absolutely amazing. It was, as you said, just a really, really big festival, and that's when we were actually starting to do more live performances. So the one thing that I regret is that I didn't have all the experience I have today on stage. So I don't, I wish my stage presence would have been more what it is today. So that's the only thing that I'm a little sad about. But the experience was absolutely fantastic. It was really, really such a beautiful stage. Everybody was so nice. Yeah, but you get. I'm trying to. I'm thinking in French now, so I'm trying to think in English. But yeah, you're welcomed almost like like your family already. So it's really, really. It was an amazing
So
experience.
can you tell us more details about that performance that you are mentioning? That what things you would change now? Like what things were not as the way you wanted during that performance?
Oh, you mean like in terms of what I was saying, like my own rendition? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I think there's a big difference with being uh front woman in a band and being an instrumentalist. So I've been a violinist and singer, like more background singer, not background, but how do you say back vocals before. So, but I was not the one leading the show. So when you're the front person, you have to talk between songs. And this is very different. Talking between songs is completely different from playing. Like playing your thing or singing, you get into the song and you're just playing your role. Whereas when you're actually the songs, when you have to, oops, we're freezing. Is that working again?
Now it's okay, I think.
Okay. So yeah, I think the difference with addressing the audience, it's something that you need to grow more experience into. That's something that was stressing me a lot before. Also, just confidence, being like the one, as I said, that's right in the front of everybody. If you're playing your instrument and everybody's playing instruments, you're not attracting as much attention. So I feel like it's a little bit easier. But when you're the front person, you need a lot of confidence, and you need to actually decide. I don't know how to say that, but it's not that you don't care, but you have to decide, this is me and take me as I am. So I think it takes a lot of experience on the stage to do this. So because we were more starting at that moment, I didn't have as much confidence. So that's the one thing that I regret.
Yeah, it was. I cannot even imagine to go under that pressure, and it was pretty big festival. And as you said, you just started during that time. I mean, to have that music band together for touring. If, for example, you have started smaller ones, you had that confidence, as you said. But did it even show? Because sometimes people even don't notice that. Like it is in your head. Like people think everything is perfect. What is she talking about? Like, do you think even people felt that or not?
So the good thing is that everybody that was with me had a ton of experience. Yannick had been in Quo Vadis for many years, which was a melodic death metal band. So for him, he had tons of experience being on big stages as well. Marc-André was also in Quo Vadis, our guitarist. So I think just it was just mostly me. I mean, it was solid musically, so definitely worth the show, but it's just, I think in the body language, that's where you can see a little bit of the difference. And I think it happens for a lot of big bands as well. When they change their front woman or their front man, sometimes the first shows you'll see, like, you know, they seem just not as at ease as they would be, you know. So it's not like a huge thing, but it's just, I think it's a lot of how I felt at that time. So.
And Jess42 asked that any funny memories from concerts?
Oh my goodness.
You remember something?
Am I gonna say this or not?
Definitely you should say now.
There's many. Okay, guys, I am totally gonna spill the beans here. Spill the tea. So one, when you headbang and you have very long hair, it happens that your hair will get caught in the guitar of somebody else.
Oh my God.
So it's your turn to start singing and you're like, oh, great. Always looks awesome. But the worst, and I've never said that publicly before, is when I drank energy drink before going on stage, a Monster. I didn't even drink the whole thing, but I was like, I don't know what it did to my brain, but I had this much concentration, you know, like I had no focus. So, and I was really, really hyper. So at the parts where I wanted the crowd to sing, instead of just turning the mic, I actually threw the mic. And thank God at that moment I didn't have a wireless mic, so I was able to like catch it by the cable and bring it back. But I completely threw my mic at the audience. So yeah, so I to this day never drank another energy drink before a show because it was a mess. And anytime I would want to say thank you, and of course, different city, different bands, right? So I was trying to say thank you to the bands that were opening, and I had written their names to make sure I don't make a mistake on my sheet of paper. And every time I would look down and then look up, in the fraction of a second to look down and up, I would forget the name of the band. Like I was so, I don't know what was going on in my brain, but yes, never again, never again.
I see, very interesting one. And how do you say, actually choose your locations for your tours in general?
So what we do often is kind of jump on tours that are already organized, so that makes it easy. When it's us only that are organizing everything, then we usually go, of course, for big cities, and for cities that we know we already have a good presence, you know, so that makes it easier. Also, I mean, if we get requests, then also, you know, we'll consider adding those cities, but that's pretty much how we choose. There's, if you look on if you compare 3 or 4 posters of tours from bands, you will see it's often the same cities as well. So we kind of go with this just to be safe often, because there's cities that you won't have many metalheads, let's be honest.
Yeah, that's clever move for sure.
Yeah.
And how about Canada? People in Canada in general, how do they respond to metal music in general? Do you think there are lots of metal fans there?
Yeah, definitely. I think metal has a big presence in Canada. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. And I also noticed that you post some videos on your YouTube channel, which shows the playthrough for a certain instrument. That's very interesting. So how, why do you do that in general?
I think as sometimes we're asked about how to play or things or whatever. So it's always a good way of seeing where the fingers are and learn the songs, right? So that's one thing. And the other is we pride ourselves in writing things that are not necessarily easy to perform. Not that we're always trying to make it hard, but I think the level of musicianship is good in the band. And when you focus on one instrument, you can see things you haven't seen before or not, you don't realize, because when you put everything together, you don't necessarily hear all the details. But when you see a playthrough and in the mix the instrument is a little louder, then you can really see what's going on. So that's one of the things. And I need to do more on the violin because, like, if you join me, this is written like a concerto, right? It's really written like a classical concerto. It's not easy, but because it's blended, you can't really see everything. So I kept thinking I need to do a playthrough of this, and I haven't yet. So maybe one day I'll tackle this.
That was very interesting for me because in this way, those who are playing especially a certain instrument, then they would really appreciate such videos, and there are lack of them on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And it was very interesting that you are doing this for your own band. You are not waiting for others to do that for you. You do it yourself, and that's very interesting.
Yeah, I think there's a few other bands that do this. It's mostly maybe, I think, individual musicians that will post it on their own page often. For us, we put it on the band page because we consider that, you know, value added, let's just call it that way. And it's easier to access those. So
Yeah, I see. And you mentioned that you are the main music composer in your band, right? Most of them, you are responsible.
So I wouldn't say the main, because what happens, and I'm maybe the first. So as I was saying, I do everything like vocal, melody, and violin and viola. And then I send it to the others, and they add their instrument. Because there's no way I could compose guitars, let's be honest. Or drums. Yeah, or bass.
Oh, so
So
everyone just participates somehow. They are assembling this
yeah.
together.
So I'm the first to do it, but they all do their own parts. And then I will add orchestrations, like often, like if you hear like, oh, it's rarely just one violin. I will compose like many layers, and viola, and sometimes I'll have a cello and a upright bassist in the studio, to kind of record some of their stuff too that I write for. And the choir, same thing. It's me who will write the choir parts and invite some friends often to come record.
And what about lyrics?
It used to be mostly Yannick and I. Now Yannick has a little bit less time, so it's mostly me for the next album.
Oh, I see. And what about your hair color? Is that any story about that?
My hair color. Okay, because it changes from one blue to another. That's my laziness.
Yeah. So how do you choose that? Is it related to the album, or how often is it changing?
No. I always wanted blue hair for like the longest time, but in classical music, it's a little not frequent. Let's just call it that way. Not every orchestra is okay with that, and in opera as well, we wear wigs a lot, but when you audition, they really pay attention to different things, and some places, some company are very conservative. So that's why for the longest time I kept my blonde hair, but I really wanted blue hair. But it's just again, to just make sure that I have a solid career, I went by these things. And at some point I was just talking with friends, and they said, you know, just wear a wig. Go to orchestra with a wig. And I, you know, wearing wigs all the time in opera, I got used to it. So I thought, you know, why not? So I finally made the jump in 2019 when we had when we started to promote the new album. So
and how active are you beside Gone in April music band, about orchestra and other activities? You're active now, right?
Yeah, that's actually all I do: orchestras, operas, and teaching. When I'm not doing metal, I don't have any. Well, I will also get hired to play weddings, or get hired to play for shows. You know, big shows. Sometimes in arenas, they need a violinist, a violist, then I can play those. Often we're not really allowed to disclose who we're playing for, and I kind of understand that, because you want to keep the attention on that person. So I won't go into too many details, but yes, doing that kind of things. Yeah.
I see. And George asked that why Gone in April? How did you choose the name for the music band?
So one of the one of the first members, actually the founding member of Gone in April, is German, and he's the one that picked the name. He's the one that communicated with Yannick first, and Yannick thought, oh, Julie would really fit in that band. So at the time, that's how it started. He picked the band name, and it was related to the first album, the concept of the first album, which is croisé. What's croisé in English? Crusader, going on the crusades, and he leaves on the last day of April. So for the crusades, and then we follow his whole story. So that's pretty much how this came to be.
Now you're in Quebec, right?
At the moment, I am in Tennessee, in the US.
I see. Okay, but in Quebec, majority talk in French, right?
Absolutely, yes.
That makes sense. Okay, I understood. And so you often visit the US, right?
So at the moment, I live in the US, but I'm actually very often in Quebec as well because my whole family is there.
Oh,
Same with Yannick, we
okay.
often go back. So.
Oh, okay. So most of the time you are in Tennessee at the moment.
Mm-hmm. And as you were saying, we have members from everywhere. So we have members that are in Quebec City at the moment, or in Montreal. So yeah, a little bit everywhere.
So you had this choice to continue your career in classic music or metal music. So how come you managed to have both somehow? Like it seemed very interesting how you managed all of that.
That's a good question. So the thing that happens is that before a band is really big enough to tour all the time, you do need to have a side job, a side hustle. And for me, because it's just not going to be like enough money to sustain any of the members. So we all have to choose what we're going to do on the side. If you look at Yannick, he's a full-time physicist on top of being a drummer.
Oh, that's very cool.
Yeah, so his job is like when he's not playing drums, he's actually doing research to build new medical scanners, so PET scans that detect cancer. For me, it was very important to be a full-time musician. That's why I also learned to sing, because I was thinking I'll either have a career as a singer, as a violinist, or a violist. So I have 3 instruments that I can that I can play professionally. I just didn't want to take the chance to not make it in music. So for me, it was very important to be able to do a lot. And that's how I find work everywhere, basically. And in all these instruments. Like there's an orchestra that hires me on the violin, one that had 2 that hire me on the viola. In the band, I do whatever I want. and for as I was saying, like playing events or things like that, playing for other artists, I'm hired mostly as violinist and violist.
I see. And when was the time you understood that you're really interested in metal music? Was it because of listening to a certain music band, or what happened?
I was very into Rhapsody. And Rhapsody has a lot of classical elements in it. I was listening to Sonata Arctica. I was listening to Nightwish, Epica. So a lot of those melodic bands, Camelot. So by listening to that genre a lot, of course I was into it. The next thing that happened is that while I was singing some Nightwish, I had a boyfriend at the time that just worked with a lot of classical singers, and I was just singing for fun, and he said, wow, you really like have what it takes to be an opera singer. So then he introduced me to his piano teacher that works with singers a lot. And she introduced me to the voice teacher at the conservatory. The voice teacher decided to give me free lessons until I actually got accepted at the conservatory. So that's how it started.
I see. And I checked your followings, and to check just who we are following, we are like actually they are common. And I noticed that Marky, Moonsun Band, and Infected Rain. So, what do you think, for example, about Infected Rain music band?
Oh, we actually toured with them, and that was really really fun. I actually love. There's I don't know how to explain it. There's an atmosphere in their music that is very special, um, and I love that it goes from really quiet moments to really explosive moments as well. Um, of course, it's different from her style a lot, but I think they have some of that really heavy and more quiet things and nice melodies as well. So yeah, and of course they have the growls and the clean. So there's a lot of things in common. But yeah, I really really like that kind of atmosphere. I don't know how to describe it. If you don't know, just guys, just go listen to their music. But yeah, there's a really cool atmosphere about their music, and everybody in the band is really cool. So
Yeah, I
yeah.
was thinking maybe if you guys will have a collaboration, it would be so interesting because your music genre could be somehow a good match. I was thinking it could work. What do you think about that?
Uh, to build a song together. That's what you mean?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, exactly.
I actually never thought about it, but that would be cool. Yeah, definitely. So we'll keep that
Yeah.
in mind.
Yeah, when I interviewed Lena Scissorhand and then
Yeah.
later Alice from Juno Music Band, that time she was in Killen Bodeler. And later Alice joined Infected Rain, and it was so exciting for me because I interviewed both of them. And when I saw it, it got so powerful. The music band got so powerful after Alice joined them. So it was very interesting.
That's really cool. Yeah, we toured before she joined the band, so I haven't had the chance to meet her yet, unfortunately. But
Oh, I see.
yeah,
And what about Marky? Have you seen Marky in person?
I haven't. So one, I like her music a lot. But the funny thing is that I think she has such a great personality. Because I started looking into the music, and then I started looking into more of her videos, and yeah, I really sorry, still mourning. Yeah, I just really really loved her personality, and I hope at some point we'll get to meet. But yeah, I was really intrigued by who she was, so I started following her, and I was like, yeah, she's cool.
Yeah, we mentioned Marky. Exactly, that's the topic related to hair color because she even chose that theme, and so she's always stuck with pink.
Yeah, yeah,
No matter,
yeah.
yes, she's always stuck with that. So it's impossible for her to change. And for Moon Sun Band, how do you know these guys from Germany?
I again, I mean, when you're in the genre, the symphonic metal genre, or just as well, there's not, as I said, a ton of women in metal yet. We can't say it's 50-50, right? So it's
Exactly.
always interesting to see who's active and to see who is involved in the scene. So of course you discover other bands, and yeah. So that's how I discovered them, like their music as well. So
By the way, we have an interesting challenge on our page named Crazy Eyebrow. We try to raise one eyebrow up like this. Can you do that?
hmm, let me adjust my camera so I can see what I'm doing.
It's a good morning exercise, by the way. Oh, that was not bad.
This one goes up pretty
Oh,
well.
yeah, that's good.
I
That's
use
very
this in my opera roles a lot when I have to be the mean one, but this one is not as good. It just makes me look concerned. But you had
No,
a pretty good one. Oh, there, yes, very independent eyebrows.
actually, I'm collecting such eyebrow rays, or they have different names on internet. And recently, I saw a girl named Rachel, nicknamed Ray Ray, and she took it to another level. I was surprised. Even I cannot do that. So I'm now practicing with that. So,
You're practicing.
yes.
Did she put like an instruction video or something?
Yes.
Oh,
Now I'm also trying to make a mix. Time to time, I do that for this crazy eyebrow challenge. So it's very
you have
fun.
to send me the link. I want to see this.
For sure, I will send you that. And even, these ones that we are doing with our guests, also I make a mix for that. So you will be on that for sure because you did a good job there.
Thank you, thank you. On a reel.
So guys, any last question from Julie that you want to share? And Julie, would you like to add something?
Actually, I would like to say I've like in the last years, I know for the pandemic that's been hard for everybody, but I had a pretty bad accident. I don't really want to go too much into it, but I had a pretty bad accident that made me not be super like not really active in the like with during COVID for everything that's band related. And it was really, really rough. I think anybody that has had an accident and had to go back to themselves, you know, feeling 100% or at least like 90%, getting back in shape after an accident is very hard. And they were a lot of dark moments because often it's not like this, you know, the progress, it goes like, it's a little bit better. You go up, and suddenly you go back completely down and you have to redo the whole thing. And it's like this for a while until you can finally be better. And I think it's always been nice to have people supporting our music. But I actually had fans that were like, "Hey, you're not on social medias very much lately. What's going on?" You know, and I had people write to me and hope, you know, I hope everything's well with you. And I had a crazy amount of support even without saying what was going on. I just had so many people write to me and just seeing how people support the band even during that time, it makes you feel like you're not alone when you're struggling through things. And I always saw people are there for my music, but it was, or not my music, but I mean the band's music. But to have people that are there for me was a really something I never thought of or never took for granted. So that was really, how do you say that? Like warm, you know, a warm feeling, and it helped me go through things a lot. So I cannot thank you guys enough for being by my side and supporting, not just enjoying the music, but supporting the artist as well. So that makes such a huge difference because it is hard, not just going through stuff in life, but I mean like being an artist is hard because if you don't have followers, then you don't have anything. If you don't have people listening and buying your merch or things like that, then you go nowhere. So I really, really appreciate what all of you do for us.
Yeah, I think that's a mutual energy, and on behalf of them, I would like to thank you, Julie. Like your projects are so beautiful, and it shows that you guys are really working on that to make such projects, and we really appreciate that. I'm also one of your fans, so I really enjoy them, and thank you so much for that.
Well, thank you for your really kind words, and thank you for taking the time to talk today.
Thank you indeed for giving your time to us and join us for the show. I really appreciate that, Julie. So I'm looking forward also to see your next songs and listen to them, and even join one of your concerts in the future. That's really one of my dreams. I really want to see your band in person. That would be lovely.
I hope we can make it to the other side.
Thank you, Julie. So
Thank you so much.
wish you very good day, and see you soon, hopefully.
Good evening to you and to everybody who's listening. Morning, evening, afternoon. Have a
Thanks
great one.
everyone. Thanks everyone for joining us. See you. Bye.
Bye.